Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sum of Our Parts, the podcast where two friends talk about the movies that add up to make us who we are. I'm Lindsay,
And I'm Jim.
and this week we are doing our final spooky season pick for this year as we are rapidly approaching Halloween and the end of October.
So, Lindsay, what did you finish up October and Halloween month with? What did you get for us?
So, as we discussed, I don't love scary movies. So, I wanted something that lives in the spooky space but is still fun. And I turned to a movie that I still love, that I loved growing up. And it was Addams Family Values from 1993.
Outstanding. So, and I have to say, I'm a big fan of the TV show, the TV
Mhm.
series from the '60s with John Astin and Carolyn Jones. So, so I'm assuming you didn't see this in the movie theater originally.
No, no. I definitely remember watching it at home. I don't know if we owned this one, but we owned the first one, the 1991 Addams Family. Uh, on VHS, but this is something that I think now, especially, it comes on TV all the time around this time of year. So it's definitely something that I grew up watching over and over again. And I think as I got older, I appreciate this one, Adam's Family Values, a little bit more than the first one. I probably watched the first one more when I was a kid, because I especially remember like there's this scene where Wednesday and Pugsley have like a fake fight and are like cutting off each other's arms and like blood spurting everywhere. Like that is always the image I have in my brain of that movie. But this one, I think, as I get older, I'm like, oh, this is like so much fun. It's full of stars. It's hilarious. Like the one-liners are just like the quips are so fast and so funny. And everyone in it is so good. So I think this is one I've grown to appreciate more as I got older. So yeah, I didn't see it in theaters definitely because I was only 3 when it came out, but definitely something I watched at
Okay.
home many
And
times over the years.
you say you prefer this one to the first one as far as your favorite.
Yeah, yeah, I think ultimately, um, just like the story, I think it's funnier. Um, and I think I love all the like cameos and other actors in smaller parts in this one.
Okay, all right. So I don't think I saw this in the movie theaters, but I have seen it. I think like
Mm-hmm.
you just watched it on TV over the years, beginning because I was a fan of the TV show. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everybody really did a good job with this one. And then until you brought out this one compared to the first one, I really didn't have a preference, but I do think I like you. I like this one better as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think it's just like the Addams family is such a good like property, I guess. I don't know how you want to say it, but like the Addams family are so great like in every form. Like the
Mm-hmm.
TV show, it was a comic strip first, wasn't it?
Was a comic strip first,
By Charles
yeah.
Addams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the TV show in the
'60s came out in
60s.
'64, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always think there's one like little clip I always see online of it's like little Wednesday dancing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's always like the little gif I see. But yeah, that I think was I've seen some of that, not a ton of it. But I think like just this premise of like this like creepy gothy family. And I think especially what I like about the movies is like setting them like in the 90s, just like next to regular people. Uh, it is just like so it's such just like fish out of water thing, and they're like oblivious to it, which is so fun. They're like, yeah, that we're just doing our thing, being weird, creepy and kooky and mysterious and spooky.
The
Um,
Addams Family.
uh, but yeah, I think that that's always been a draw. And I also think one thing I appreciate about the Addams family that I appreciate about some other things, like for example, I really like the show Bob's Burgers, which is like a
Oh, okay.
cartoon show about like a weird family that owns a burger restaurant. They're not, weird in the same way that the Addamses are, but it is just like a group of like truly like weird, strange people, but all who like really love each other in like a strange way. Right. I think that like Gomez and Morticia are like, you know, as I said before this, couple goals. Just fully devoted to each other.
hopelessly in love with each other. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
yeah. After the children and everything else. Yeah, so every married couple should aspire to the same level of passion that they have in their marriages, and bring it to their own. So yeah, whatever it is they've got, it works.
Yes, exactly. And I guess we can talk briefly, like just to go over, since we're talking about a sequel, we can talk a little bit about the first one and also who the characters are. If for some reason people are not familiar with the Addams family, which welcome to
We
the
don't know
world, I
you
guess. If
if you
you're,
don't. Yeah.
yeah. Hello, welcome to culture. So, the Addams family, it's a mom and a dad, Gomez and Morticia. In these movies, Gomez is played by Raul Julia, who was late great Raul Julia. He was really a prolific stage actor, did a lot of work on Broadway. He was also in other movies like Romero is the other movie I've seen. Moon Over Parador, Tempest, Kiss of the Spider Woman. Lots of like award nominations, like
Mm,
again, like super prolific and respected and well done. And I think you could see, especially you could see that this man is a stage actor when you
e-
watch this movie.
exactly. Yeah. Very
He's
talented in
he's
all
giving.
aspects.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh Morticia in these movies is played by Angelica Houston, one of the great nepo babies of Hollywood, daughter of John Huston. And she's also her grandfather was also a famous
Walter
Hollywood
Houston.
person,
Yeah.
Walter Houston. So
Yep.
of the Houston dynasty.
Hmm.
She I'm these are movies that like she's been in a million things. Movies that I know her best from are Ever After, The Witches, The Royal Tenenbaums. I think one of her biggest roles was in Prizzy's Honor,
Hmm.
things like that. So once again, like multiple Oscars, lots of things. They are amazing in these movies. I love them. The combination of lighting and makeup on her face makes it look like just like her eyes, like the area her eyes and brows, from her eyebrows to like her cheekbones are like lit. Just like they
Exactly.
have like a special light just shining on them.
They glow almost. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, it's
She is
fascinating.
really like highlight inspiration for the makeup girls among us. But she's like, and just the way she talks. Oh no. There's a part at the beginning of this movie where she's like, I'm going to have a baby right now. Just like so like quiet, so demure, very mindful. And then you have Raul Julia who's like so big and everything. Like he's always talking like this. Uh, they have two children at the beginning of this movie. They do have a baby in this movie, but the two main children that you'd see in the comics and in the show and this are Wednesday Addams and Pugsley. And I think people, if you've watched like the show Wednesday on um, Netflix, I think on Wednesday it's Luis Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones are
Oh,
Gomez and Morticia.
Gomez and Morticia.
Yeah, so
That's good casting.
yeah, absolutely. In this movie, these movies, Christina Ricci, young Christina Ricci, is Wednesday, and she's so good. Also, just like the like like nothing face,
Oh, very
just
flat affect.
deadpan,
Hmm.
like nothing, no inflection. Christina Ricci, she was from again in the 90s Kid and Me. She was in Casper. She was in Now and Then. Mermaids with Cher was one of her first roles. She's now in the show Yellow Jackets. She was in the movie Sleepy Hollow. She was in the movie Monster with Charlize Theron. She was in the movie Penelope, where she was like the lady with the pig nose.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So
Hmm.
she's been acting since she was a kid. She's been in a million things. Pugsley is played by Jimmy Workman. I think this is kind of his main thing. I will say I learned that he is the older brother of the actress Ariel Winter, who played Alex Dunphy on Modern Family. So like the
Really?
middle daughter of the Dunphys, like the
Hmm.
smart one with the glasses, that's his sister.
Did not
So
know that.
a family of another acting family.
There you go.
Um, Gomez has a brother named Fester, Uncle Fester. So the premise actually of the movie before this was that Fester has been kind of long lost, and basically some scammers try to pass off another guy as Fester to take the Addams fortune, because that's another like thing about them. They live in this big old creepy house, but they're like super rich
Hmm.
for unclear reasons. But they're super rich. And so these scammers were trying to say, like, oh, this is Fester. We'll come in and take all the stuff. Um, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. It turns out it really was Fester. um, so it was a happy ending. But that Uncle Fester is played by Christopher Lloyd. I think there's probably two things people know Christopher Lloyd best for, and it is Back to the Future
Hmm.
and Taxi.
There you go.
He was also been in other things. Like I think he was in My Favorite Martian, like when the movie that came out when I was a
The
kid.
movie, and he was a Klingon in one of the Star Trek movies.
Yes, yes,
Klingon.
yes. But yeah, I think probably Doc Brown
Hmm.
and Taxi are the two like his
Hmm.
biggest things. But
Jim
it's
Ignatowski.
yes. And it's crazy to because he's like a super skinny person, and as Fester, he's like this big. He's wearing this like big robe. He's sort of like a big kind of chunkier dude. So, shout out to the makeup and wardrobe departments on this movie. They have a sort of butler who looks like a big Frankenstein guy named Lurch. He is played by a guy named Karl Stryker. I think this is probably what he's most known for. We also have Morticia's mother, um, grandmama lives with them.
Grandmama.
She's played by a different actress in the first one, but in this one she's played by Carol Kane, who is another person who's like all these people are like Broadway stars too. Like
Hmm.
pretty much everyone in this movie has been on Broadway. Um, but she, for I think people my age, she's on Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. She's the woman who like they live with. But she was in Scrooged. She played Christopher Lloyd, or no, she played Lotka's wife on Taxi.
Taxi. Uh-huh.
She was in Princess Bride, Annie Hall, Dog Day Afternoon. She played Madame Morrible in Wicked on Broadway and on a touring cast too, I think. But
Hmm.
so
Has done a huge body of work.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and she's like very kooky character actress. So this is like she's great as Grandmama. I'm trying to think of who else. That's kind of the main family of the Addams, right? Oh, we have cousin It. He's the guy that's just like long hair.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh, and we have Thing.
oh yes, Thing. Thing is a disembodied hand that like works for them. Someone named Christopher Hart, who's also a magician,
Plays Thing.
plays Thing. So he is the hand you see. Cousin It is played by, and that's It with two T's to be clear.
Hmm.
Is played by John Franklin, who was also in Children of the Corn. He was like the main bad kid in Children of the Corn.
There's a
But he
body of
plays,
work, right?
yes, he plays Cousin It in this movie. So if you see a guy that's just like hair, that's him.
In
So
a
that's
in a bowler hat.
yes, and a bowler hat. He doesn't always wear the bowler hat in this, but on the show he
No.
always did. But
Hmm.
in these movies he doesn't always. But that's kind of the Addams family. These are the characters that come from like the show and the comics. And so yeah, that's kind of who. So you come into this movie knowing who
Right.
those people are. They are established. Also in the movie, this is not from everything, but she's a carryover from the first movie. This woman, Margaret, is married to cousin It. She like fell in love with him. She was the wife of like their like money manager who was scamming them in
Hmm.
the first movie, and then she fell in love with cousin It. So she's cousin It's wife now. But she's played by an actress, Dana Ivey, who is another person that you have seen in a million things. She was in The Color Purple in the 80s. She was Miss Millie. She was in Home Alone 2. She worked at the hotel. She's in The Help. She's in Legally Blonde 2. She's in Sleepless in Seattle. She's in Simon Birch. Another actress you've seen in a million things. So, and that's just the Addams family. We haven't even gotten to everybody else.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
To the cast of supporting
the
characters.
cast is star-studded. And before we get into the movie, I'll just say this is directed by Barry Sonnenfeld. He directed the first one too. Um, he directed the original Men in Black trilogy. He directed Get Shorty. He directed Wild Wild West, another Will Smith classique. So him and Will Smith were just hanging out all the time in the 90s, I guess. Um, he also cameos in this movie as a character named Joel's dad. So we see him throughout. He doesn't really say much, but we do see him a few times in the movie.
Hmm. Complaining about his wife usually.
Yes, yes, because his wife is sort of being a lot. This movie, obviously based on characters by Charles Addams, it was written by Paul Rudnick, who wrote Sister Act. And Paul Rudnick was also, he wrote a movie called In and Out. He was also an uncredited script doctor on some other movies, including the
Mm,
first Addams Family and the first Wives Club.
mm.
So some good ones
Yeah, so we
up
got
his
some good
sleeve.
credentials here.
Yes,
Some
and he's a playwright as well. So it probably worked well with having a cast full of Broadway stars to have someone who's used to the stage. So, shall we get into the
yeah.
movie itself?
Why don't you take us into the introduction with Morticia and Gomez?
Yes. Well, the first image we see, well, we
Oh,
first like hear a weird noise, and then we see Fester is standing on the roof of the house, like howling at the moon. It's sort of like whale. I would call it more of like a whale
it's
than
pretty mournful.
he's not like, oh, he's like, oh.
It,
It's a weird noise.
it really is, yeah. So
He's sort
I,
of crying
mhm.
like at the moon. We see Wednesday and Pugsley and Grandmama burying some kind of animal alive. Uh,
Yeah, I was
just
the
just a normal day at the Adams home.
hmm.
Lurch is playing an organ while Gomez is arm wrestling, or I guess hand wrestling with Thing,
Yeah.
which somehow like has strength despite being a disembodied hand. Very interesting.
Hmm.
And then Morticia's sitting on the couch and she says, "Marvelous news. I'm going to have a baby right now." And then she's being rushed to the hospital. She's still in her black gown. She still looks lit around
Hmm.
the eyes, even in the harsh hospital lighting. And it's so funny. They like love all the worst things in life they take joy in. So as she's being wielded, Gomez is like, "Oh, does it hurt terribly?"
Is the pain unbearable? Is it inhuman?
Yes, and they just love it. So then they have a baby. I love in the waiting room, some other little kids are like, "When a mommy and daddy love each other, then they do a special hug, and then the stork comes and brings a baby." And Wednesday's like, "Our parents are having a baby too. They had sex."
And you can see the look on the little girl's face. It's like, what? That, yeah.
Yes. And then they're arguing over if it's going to be a girl or a boy. And Gomez bursts in and they go, "Well," and he goes, "It's an Adams." And then we cut to do 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 do
Yeah. If you all don't know the finger snap thing, come on now. You gotta,
do do do
yeah.
do 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 do. Can I just say, when I was in third grade in my math class, we had to make games, like math games, and our parents
Oh,
got to come in and play them. So it was like various games that like, you had to use addition and division to like move forward. And our teacher decided it would be a fun idea for us to like sing a welcome song and a goodbye song. And so the welcome song was to the tune of the Flintstones theme,
oh, okay.
and the goodbye song was the Addams Family. So it was like,
Cute.
"We hope you had some fun, but now our games are done." Do do
Ooh.
do 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 do. I don't remember all the words. It was third grade. Do 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 do.
Oh,
So
now I want to hear the opening song too. Now
I
from the
remember more of
Flintstones.
that. It was like,
Oh,
"Welcome to our math class. We're so glad you came to join us now. We've been making math games, and Miss Alquist has been showing us how. Step
oh,
right
look at
up and
you.
play a game or two. We'll show you exactly what to do as you play our math games. Have a yabba dabba do time. We'll have a do time. We'll have a gay old time."
That's nice.
That
That's
one, that
cute.
one I remember. That one, I
Okay.
don't know. I don't remember as much of the Addams Family one,
The
but
farewell one. So
yeah, so it always makes me think of that. It takes me back to third grade math class. Shout out to Miss Alquist, my
there you
third grade
go.
math teacher and my sixth grade social studies teacher. Um,
A woman
anyways,
of many talents.
yes. So all the stuff that I just said, that was like the first like minute of the movie.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah, a lot happens.
Yeah, it's a 90-minute movie, and we are
We're
rolling through,
rolling.
pacing up. Um, so we then get home with baby Addams, who we later learned is named Pubert. You know, like you do, Pubert. And the nursery is decorated just as you would expect for the Addamses. Like the mobile is hanging knives, and like the teddy bear is like an actual bear that like growls at you. And the baby comes out looking like Gomez.
Yeah, has a little
Has a
mustache.
little mustache, has like black hair parted in the middle, slicked down. I read that baby is played by two like little girl babies.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay. That's interesting.
yeah. It's also clearly like a 10-month-old baby. Like that's a big old baby. This is not a newborn. Obviously, they can't like get newborns. That's there are laws. But meanwhile, Wednesday and Pugsley not thrilled. Wednesday tells Pugsley that when a new baby comes home, one of the other kids has to die. And Pugsley's like, "Well, which one of us?" And she's like, "Well, they only need one boy." So she's saying you. Also, while they're like sawing the legs of the banister
Right
of the
on the
stairs.
stairs. I thought that, yeah. So
Yeah. So basically, they're jealous of the attention the baby's getting, so they're going to kill him. And they tried different methods. They drop the baby off the roof. Gomez catches him, and the parents are like, "Why do you hate the baby?" And they're like, "We don't hate him. We just want to play with him, especially his head."
you do a good Wednesday.
Thank you, thank you. And Fester and Gomez talk. Oh, they're like, it's just sibling rivalry. Remember how we tried to kill each other a million times? Then like Gomez like throws Fester against the wall and throws a bunch of knives at him that basically just like outline him
And pins
upside
him to the
down.
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like through his like outfit upside down.
Mm.
It's wild, this movie. Um I also love Fester is clearly we're establishing at the beginning Fester's very lonely because you see him at night reading a book that's like weird men and the women who avoid them. So Gomez and Morticia are worried though, because they're like, the kids are not getting along. Morticia's like, I'm a woman. I want to have it all. I want to have my marriage and my kids and to join the hordes on their hellish. It's just, I wish I had more time to seek out the dark forces and join their hellish crusade.
That was it, Crusade. So yes.
Hellish crusade.
Mm.
So they're like,
Isn't
okay,
that what all women want?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what
So
I want.
I can
I just don't have
understand
that
that.
much time for the dark forces. Work, working out, social life.
Yeah.
When do you have
So
time? When do you have time to find the
I,
dark forces?
I get you. So
Hellish Crusades take up so much time. Also, meanwhile, I think I didn't mention Wednesday and Pugsley also try to kill the baby with a guillotine. They are reenacting the French Revolution. You are guilty of crimes against the Republic. Now you must die. I look when Pugsley's like, guilty. Trying to be the voice of the baby. But anyways, it's like, okay, we need to hire a nanny. We get a little montage of nanny auditions. First we have cameo Cynthia Nixon as some young like environmentalist person like we're going to talk about preventing forest fires and Wednesday's like prevent them
and then
as
lights
she
a big
lights a
match.
giant match. um then there's a sort of like stern black woman.
Hmm.
She's like, now tell me where the baby is. And Wednesday's like, which part of him? Then there's this woman that's sort of like a Mary Poppins type, but with puppets.
Yes.
And Wednesday pulls out a devil puppet and like, in exchange for your soul. So it's like not going well. Then there's a knock on the door, a big loud knock on the big doors of the Addams family mansion. And who should walk in? But Debbie Jelinski from the agency. Morticia's like, oh, I thought they ran out. They said to consider a Doberman. Debbie Jelinski is played by Joan Cusack, another icon of film and television.
Sister to John Cusack.
Yes,
Just so you,
of the
in case you all don't
another
know.
family. another acting family. I've she's been in, first of all, like most movies that he's in, I feel like. Because like they're both in 16 Candles, they're both in Say Anything. She's in High Fidelity. She's in like almost every movie he's in. But she also is in, for me, I always remember her as she's the principal in School of Rock.
Oh,
And she's the voice of Jessie the cowgirl in the Toy Story movies,
oh, I didn't
two
know that.
through four. Yeah,
Oh, oh,
she's
oh,
Jessie.
oh,
If you
didn't
if
know.
you watch it now, you'll be like, oh, that's
Hmm.
how, you'll hear it. But she's also in Working Girl, I think rather
Yeah.
famously,
Yep.
9 months. She was also for a time on the cast of Saturday Night Live, which I didn't know. Um, she was on the show Shameless. She's been in like a million. She's another person that's been in a million things. She was on an episode of Law and Order SVU, like most actors.
I think you and I are the only ones that haven't been on Law and Order
I
SVU.
know. Cast me as a corpse. Come on.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or I could be the guy walking in the background.
I
Just
could be a jogger who discovers a dead body. I would be better at that than a corpse. I used to joke with my roommates in college that I wanted to play a corpse on Criminal Minds, and they would be like, "Try it," and then I would start laughing every time.
so
I would
yeah.
like try to lay quietly, and then I'd laugh. So I would not be a good corpse, but I could be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, oh my god.
And then you
See?
could be the one over there. Who found the body? That one right over there. So
And then I'm like crying because I found a
mhm,
dead body, and I was
mhm,
just trying to go for a jog.
right. So
Anyways, Joan Cusack is Debbie Jelinski. Joan Cusack with this lovely like blonde full 90s bob.
didn't she sort of reminded me of Legally Blonde,
Hmm.
just a little bit, and then also Joan Cusack, looking, you know, very not that she's not pretty or attractive, but I mean looking more glammed up than usual.
Yeah, I was gonna say this usually like isn't her look.
Right, right. So, but
Um,
yeah.
so she's there. Fester immediately. Love at
Mm,
first sight here.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, Debbie. And she hits it off with Gomez and Morticia immediately, right? Um, like Gomez comes in and she goes, "Isn't he a lady killer?" And he goes, "Acquitted." Uh, she starts saying some just like kind of crazy shit, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Yes." Like she's holding the baby and she's, "Oh, I just want to eat him and squeeze him until there's nothing left of him." And they're like, "Oh, yay." The like
Yeah.
wilder stuff she says, the more they enjoy
Yeah,
her.
it's like, oh, we found our perfect nanny. It's
Yes.
she's gonna fit right in.
Yes. So she goes around and meets everyone. Like Pugsley and Wednesday are practicing like burning a baby with like welding torches. Uh Fester's hiding, being shy, but he's obviously into her. And she's, laying it on thick, like, "Oh, Gomez, is this your nephew?" "No, he can't be your brother." All of that. She's ready to she's like, "I'll start tomorrow." And then Wednesday and Pugsley drop the baby again and Gomez catches him and he's like, "Why not tonight?" He's
Yeah,
so like exasperated.
you can tell
So
Gomez is really worried at this
yeah,
point.
he's like, maybe now." And she does. But then she like sleeps in her clothes. Like
Yeah.
she just
It's like
even in
that's
her
the only
shoes.
outfit she has on, or
She
that she
doesn't even
has.
take off her shoes. She's just laying on top of a bed in a dress, like a off the shoulder dress and heels. I was like, okay. But yeah, I wrote, why does she sleep in her clothes? They
Uh-huh.
couldn't give
Yeah.
her anything.
And she had luggage though, didn't she?
Right. I
Yeah.
thought so. But then we get a glimpse into who Debbie really is
Mm.
when she's watching television, and there's a show on. It's like World's Most Disgusting Criminals, America's Most Disgusting Unsolved Crimes.
Mm-hmm.
The anchorman
Hosted
for
by.
which is Peter Graves, who people might recognize from the television series Mission Impossible, as well as Airplane and Airplane 2.
And whose brother was James Arness.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, and also it reminded me that because back then in the '90s, there was a bunch of TV shows like like about those reality things like To Catch a Predator and
Mm-hmm.
all this,
Mm-hmm.
or what happened to the band, and all these things. And so yeah, that was a pretty good spoof, I thought, on that.
Yeah. And so we basically learn from this show that Debbie is a black widow. So she's a serial killer who marries rich men and kills them. And she's assuming different identities and like different looks. But it's her out here killing men over and over again. And clearly she has her sights set on Fester because, as I mentioned, for whatever reason, I don't know that we really know from the movies, the Addamses are rich. They are loaded.
And yeah, and you see, I think she's beside her. She's got like these magazines about lives of the rich and weird or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's Fester like all
America's
over
most
it.
disgusting bachelors and stuff like
Yeah.
so
So
she's been doing her research on Fester. And I think the first person who starts to get suspicious of her is Wednesday, who has
mm.
painted herself like the wallpaper in Pubert's room and is spying on her.
Great gimmick, by the way.
Yes, because she's like looking for like where's like the 401k and like the investment accounts and like all this stuff. She's looking for paperwork to see how much money they have that
Yeah,
she can
she's like,
take.
and it's like all these old deeds and
Yes.
pieces of paper and gold bullion, and it's all this other in the comic strip. It was alluded that Gomez was an attorney, but the family had inherited money. He was from
Mhm.
Castile or something like that.
Mm,
So, and then a lot of their holdings and stuff came from centuries ago. So it's old money,
yeah.
and he
Yeah.
invests. In
Hmm.
the TV show, he always has like this stock ticker thing, where he's looking at
Hmm.
stocks all the time, and oh look, I made another $100,000 today or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah. They're yeah, they got a lot of money.
they got a lot of
Um,
money.
but it's funny too because they sort of like live and dress and act like it's like the 1920s still. Which you see like when the kids go to camp. But uh at this point Debbie realizes that Wednesday's sniffing around.
Mm-hmm.
And so she tricks Gomez and Morticia into sending Wednesday and Pugsley to summer camp to get them out of the way. Because she's like, oh, they like really want to go. They didn't want to tell you because they don't want you to think that they don't love you, but like they really do want to go. And Gomez and Morticia, obviously, because they're into just like weird stuff. So anything normal is like kind of disgusting to them. They're like, oh, they want to go to summer camp. But they're like, okay. So they take them to Camp Chippewa, which is a camp for privileged young adults. So it's like a rich kid summer camp, and everyone is in like it's the early 90s, and these are rich people, so everybody's in sort of like pastels, like polo shirts with like a sweater draped over, and then you have the Addamses. And some of the conversation with these other people is just like the one-liners in this movie just like kill me
Oh,
every time. Like they're asking like, "Oh, my son does this." Ask Gomez like, "What about your son?" And he goes, "Probation." And then I think at one point they're talking about they meet this girl Amanda who's like the most popular girl, and her they're talking to Morticia and Wednesday, and Morticia's like, "Oh, Wednesday's got something on her mind that all girls her age have," and the other mom is like, "Oh, boys," and Wednesday goes, "Homicide."
and again, her delivery is so good. It's very for such a young actor at this point. She does a great
Her
job.
face does not move,
No, no,
just nothing, flat,
yep.
just homicide. Uh, and we meet the owners of the camp, who are Gary Granger and Becky Martin Granger.
Great names, by the way.
Yes. Gary Granger is played by Peter McNichol, who for me is the guy from Ghostbusters 2. Like that's how I remember him. He's like the foreign guy that Sigourney Weaver works for. The guy
Mm-hmm.
with like the weird accent that's like being controlled by the evil painting. I'm sure he's in other things I
He's
know.
been in a ton of things,
Like most
TV
of these
mostly.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I feel like he's
yeah.
one of those people that like you would see on like Friends and Frasier and like
Mm-mm.
all the shows. Becky Martin Granger is played by another stage legend, Christine Baranski, who is Aunt Tanya in the Mamma Mia movies.
Mm-hmm.
Importantly, she was on The Good Wife, The Good Fight, she's now in the Gilded Age. She was on Big Bang Theory. She's in the movie The Birdcage. And like I said, big
She
Broadway
was
star.
in
She's in Grinch.
Chicago.
Oh yeah, she
Chicago.
was in Chicago. She's like the journalist.
Hmm.
She's Martha Mayhew in The Grinch. She's like the one that the Grinch has a crush on with like the
Right.
fancy house. Um, so yeah, Christine Baranski, another just
Oh.
she's everywhere.
Hmm. And
You
can
have
do
seen her.
everything. She can sing.
Indeed.
She can dance. She can act.
As you can see through her work as Becky Martin Granger.
The triple
Um,
threat.
yes. So we meet, as I mentioned, we meet a girl named Amanda, who's kind of like the blonde popular girl. We also meet another sort of misfit, not quite like the Addamses, but another sort of misfit. His name is Joel. Is his last name Glicker? I kept thinking of the
It's
Glicks from Glicker. His last name's Glicker. I kept thinking of
Glicker.
the Glicks from Salem's Lot.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Joel Glicker is like this nerdy boy who's there and also does not want to be there, just like Wednesday and Pugsley. He, as I mentioned, his dad is played by the director Barry Sonnenfeld in a cameo. Joel is played by the actor David Krumholtz, who again is another person like Christina Ricci, who's been acting since he was a kid. You have definitely seen him in something. He is Bernard the Elf in the Santa Claus movies. It's like the head elf.
Oh, yep, 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 yep.
He was recently in Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of Oppenheimer's colleagues. David Raby, I think was his name.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the Harold and Kumar movies. He's in 10 Things I Hate About You. He was on the TV show Numbers.
Oh, I like that
Um,
show. I forgot about
the
that.
thing that he'll always live in infamy to me because he guested as a character on ER named Paul Sabricki, who is the person who stabbed Dr. Carter and Lucy Knight.
Right? Yeah.
So that's what I always remember him from. And if I ever meet him, I will let him know that you stabbed Dr. Carter. That will be the
And
first thing that I say to him. You
killed
killed
Lucy.
Lucy Knight.
Killed Lucy. Yeah.
So but he's again another like prolific. Really, all of these people we were just talking about, Jim, like all the people in this movie, like even people with cameos, either were like already kind of killing it and kept going, or were like after this
Right.
just
It
launched
just
to
took
great
off.
heights.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do also want to plug, sadly, this was the last movie. Raul Julia died pretty young, so this was the last movie that he was in that came out in his lifetime. He was in Street Fighter after this, but that came out after he
After
died.
he
So
died.
this is the last movie he was in that like he got to see come out,
Oh.
unfortunately. And like that is so sad because if you watch this movie, it's like I want to watch a million more movies with Raul Julia in
I
them.
know when you think about like all the stuff that he could have done,
Right?
right afterwards. Yeah. So,
So funny.
oh,
Anyways, so um Joel and Wednesday do seem to have a little something immediately.
mhm.
Uh, while Pugsley, my favorite part is like they're locking eyes, and in the background, Pugsley is trying to hang himself.
On the dock, he's putting his
Yes,
head in a hangman's noose.
yes.
I love that.
Um, and at the same time, we sort of, and from here, we kind of go back and forth between the
Hmm.
Addams house and camp. So back at the Addams house, like Fester continues to just be like in puppy love with Debbie,
He's smitten.
which for her, she's like great
Hmm.
hook, line, sinker. Um, at Camp Chippewa, it's time for little swim practice. Wednesday and Pugsley are in like 1920s bathing suits, like the full like t-shirt and shorts look with like the stripes.
Hmm.
I love this part. Um, Amanda says to her, "Is that your bathing suit?" And Wednesday says, "Is that your overbite?" And then they have to practice like rescuing someone from drowning. And who wants to be the victim? And Amanda goes, "I will." And Wednesday goes, "All your life." And then once she starts pretending, Wednesday's supposed to save her, and Wednesday lets her pretend drown and maybe really drown and then she says, "I can't swim."
It is funny. Yeah. I was going to say if you got to watch it, it's just laugh out loud to
It's
me. It was.
hilarious. Just like the quips. They're
It,
so
it
quick.
it is. It's so fast, and that's the other thing I was going to say. For the people, if you watch it watch it a couple of times because you're going to miss
Yeah,
stuff.
you're gonna miss lines like this. I've watched this a million times, and like there's things that I pick up like each time differently, you know.
Hmm.
There's some that, like I said, they kind of like exist in my brain, and we'll get to some of those, but like sometimes this is a movie that I think you can find new laughs the more times you watch it.
Well, like you said, like the background thing with Pugsley, looking to hang
Yeah,
himself, like
there's
it's
always like something happening visually. There's like
right.
always like a one liner, like everything. It just keeps
Hmm.
going. They're so funny. Like I watched it yesterday for this, and I was watching it again before this because it keeps coming on TV. Um, back at the Addamses, Gomez and Morticia know that, Fester's into Debbie. So they're like, okay, we're gonna facilitate this. So they go out on kind of a double date to this like cave restaurant. It's a restaurant in a cave. It looks very fancy. They have like a full band.
I know, which is behind though a locked iron gate thing.
Yeah.
Did you know? Yeah. So I don't know what that was all about, and it's an all women band.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
was
it was different. So
yes. It's so funny because Gomez is trying to like give Fester pointers, and obviously Gomez is like very smooth and like flirtatious, right? He's a lady killer like Debbie said, right? He calls Morticia cara mia, and she goes mon cher, like that's how they. And so he's like, "Oh, Morticia, you look so gorgeous. We shouldn't even be here with you." He says like the women look so gorgeous they shouldn't even be here with you. And Fester's like, yes, we should be with uglier women. And it's like, no, Fester,
I know
you
the
missed
look
it.
on Gomez's face is like, oh,
Oh
it's
my
like,
god, why is this my brother? So yeah, he's Fester is struggling, and Gomez is like, listen, like, watch me work. And then we get Gomez and Morticia doing a dancing. It's a little bit of like we get some tango, we get a little paso because he gets a cape. We get a little flamenco with her
mm,
castanet. She takes someone's clams and uses them as castanets. Uh, they're doing some acrobat. She spins so fast across the floor she causes a fire. He does a series of backflips across the floor. Um, and of course it ends with a dramatic dip and a kiss, and all the corks fly out of the champagne. So there's a fountain of champagne. Uh, it's great, but it's just again a couple goals, right? Gomez and Morticia. Who doesn't want to put on a beautiful show like that? So,
right.
obviously we know Fester doesn't have to really be smooth to get Debbie because she's trying to marry him for his money and kill him anyways. So it doesn't really matter what he does, but he is struggling.
Well, because when she turns around, Fester's got two breadsticks stuck up his
Yes.
nose. So that's his way of being suave and debonair.
Yeah.
So
Oh man, the funny women like a funny guy.
I guess so. Yeah. Uh,
Um,
I got to try the breadstick trick.
yeah, try that. Try that with your wife and see how it goes.
Yeah. Next time we're out to eat, I'll do that at a
How
restaurant.
about next time you're at dance? And then like when she's looking at someone else's dance, she can turn back around and see you.
I'll
And you
do
were
that.
saying, not to throw your personal business out there, but like, when you tango in class, like Gomez is the model.
I channel my inner Gomez because whenever on the TV show they dance the tango a lot, and then with oh yeah, so whenever our instructor, yeah, we're taking dance lessons, ballroom dancing, we do a tango. I think of Gomez and Morticia. So and Denise knows that, so we do sort of we sort of practice that.
Which I
So
think is like a perfect, like,
yeah,
I can't think
because
of anyone else,
the
right?
tango is supposed to be dramatic,
Yes.
and the moves and everything, and so and it's over exaggerated, of course, in the
Hmm.
TV show and stuff. So we sort of pull from that.
Yes,
So
of course. And
anyway,
Gomez is supposed to be like Spanish, so it
right,
like
yeah, it
it
fits.
makes sense. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. So
Uh so yeah, back to, Wednesday continues to terrorize the other girls at camp. I think they're trying to tell scary stories, and I think her scary story concludes with like your original noses come back. Your nose jobs get undid, and all the girls scream,
that is funny. So
which tells you a little bit about this camp. you know.
well, it is. I wrote it down. It's the camp for privileged young adults, which
Yes.
oddly enough, I never went to. So
Me neither. Me
Yeah.
neither.
And
Welcome
so
to Camp Chippewa for privileged young adults. Back at the Addams house, Debbie and Fester continue to move forward. Debbie tells Fester that she's a virgin, and he goes, "Oh, what does that mean?" And she's like, "No one has ever expressed their love for me physically." Then he goes, "Oh, then I am one too." And they sort of profess their love. They get engaged, and they get a with Mrs. Adams's ring, which they've dug up from her grave. Oh, this is our mother's ring. She was buried with it. And then like they pull out a shovel.
well, it did take place in a cemetery.
It did. It did.
The
Their
engagement
entire yard is a cemetery,
cemetery.
basically. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen these movies or the show, like it's a mansion that's just surrounded by cemetery,
With
mausoleum, all of
really
this.
strange headstones.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
like in
it is
different shapes and sizes.
yes, it is spooky. Um the children find out at camp. They receive a letter
Right.
and they're like, "Oh no, this is terrible news." And everybody's like, "Oh my god, what happened?" And they're like, "Our uncle is engaged." And they're like, "Oh, but that's fun." And then they want like they don't want to do Wednesday, they want a group hug. And Wednesday and Pugsley are like, "Absolutely not. We're not group hugging." So they're punished. They have to go to the Harmony Hut. And Joel is there too. They all try to break out in the night. So the Harmony Hut, it's all just like, I don't know, it's like posters of kittens with like hang in there and like all this stuff. And they're just like, oh, this is awful. All these like positive messages. They were like, this is torture. So they're trying to break out in the night. They are caught.
Or ninja outfits.
Yes, they're like fully like trying to
Mm-hmm.
Mission Impossible their way out of this place. Back to the Addams home, they have a bridal shower slash like engagement party, bachelor party for Debbie and Fester. So we see like cousin It's wife, Margaret, and I love the bachelor party where they have the big cake
And
and
go
no one
ahead.
pops out of it. And
Gomez keeps going, ta-da,
and he's
ta-da.
like, Lurch, did you put her in the cake before you baked it? And Lurch is like, oh. So Lurch baked the woman in the cake,
But then
which
Gomez
is
is like, c'est la vie.
here we go. It's so funny because this is so like dark, but
That
it's
one
just
was
hilarious. That one was bad.
that one was because he killed some
He
that
killed
poor
someone.
girl. Yeah, it's like, oh, you know.
Oh no. So they get married. We see the wedding. Wednesday and Pugsley are there. I guess they get furloughed from camp for a bit.
Oh, and can I just interject?
Yes.
And Wednesday's wearing a mini Morticia dress,
Yes. Yes.
which I thought was very cute. I mean, it's
Yes.
yeah. So,
I love it. And I think she's wearing one at the end too when she's with Joel, when Joel's
mm-hmm,
dressed as like young Gomez.
mm-hmm.
Um so Debbie starts trying to kill Fester like immediately. I think when they're on their honeymoon, he's taking a bath and she tosses a radio to him in the bath and he just like gets electrocuted and he's like, hoo hoo, like it's like fun. Because the Addams is this is their what they do for recreation, you know?
Yeah, I wrote
Electrocuting, throwing knives.
I wrote down. Yeah, I said Debbie doesn't know what she got herself into.
She certainly does not.
Yeah, she's bitten off more than she can chew.
Yeah. But then things take a turn. She has them get a big house. They get a big like McMansion of the early 90s. And she has him dressing like a rich man. He has a little wig on at some point.
Oh God,
Like
the
it's like a
toupee,
little Lord Fauntleroy wig. It's like a weird
and it's blonde.
it's a blonde wig. And like he's still if you've somehow never seen he is like pale to the point of being like purple with like giant dark circles around his eyes. And imagine that with like a blonde, like bob wig, like Dorothy Hamill wig,
Right, that's a good description.
with like a pastel turtleneck and like white pants and a tan blazer. It's not a good look for Fester. His big like normal robe is really for him. But she's like keeping him away from the family. And the rest of the family comes to see him, and she's basically she's kind of like brainwashing him. He's like, "No, I don't want to see you." But she like makes him say that. And they're obviously concerned.
Hmm.
Morticia's like, "You've placed him under some sort of sexual spell. I respect it." And they're kind of demanding to see him. She says no, they're going to leave. Grandmama does a curse on her. And she's like, "What was that?" And she was like, "Just a curse. Have a nice day." Mwah. And they leave. And Gomez at this point is devastated. So
Mm.
he turns to the police for help. And they walk in, and the guy at the desk is none other than Nathan Lane.
A very, very young and a svelte Nathan Lane, by the way.
Yes. And again, if you don't know who Nathan Lane is, where you been? Broadway star. He in fact played Gomez Addams on Broadway.
Hmm.
He is in The Birdcage. He is in Mouse Hunt. I loved that movie as a kid. He voices Timon in The Lion King.
Yep. He was in the producers on
The
Broadway
producers,
and
yes,
in the
and in the
movie.
movie.
And in the movie. He was also a funny thing happened on the way to the Forum on Broadway
Mhm.
for a while.
He was in the first season or two of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Hmm.
Mhm.
So,
So he's
oh,
another person that's in a million things.
oh yeah, yeah. Love Nathan Lane. So,
Yeah. Anyways, this is where we get stage actor
oh yeah.
Raul Julia. He is monologuing here. "My brother has been corrupted by Debbie." Like, he's just going on and on. And Nathan Lane is looking at him like, "What the hell is this man talking about?"
It's like get this goofball away from me. So,
Yeah. And he's like going on. He's like, and the guy's, Nathan Lane is like, "What? He got married?"
yeah.
Okay. Sounds great. And then he's like, "I have wandered the earth for help, and I have come to you." Like, this like dramatic monologue. You have to watch it to get
you,
like the full thing.
you do.
But it is uh
It's worth the price of admission.
it really is. It's so funny because he's just like so dramatic, going on, and Nathan Lane is just giving him nothing.
It's like a typical New York police scene where you see that the desk sergeant, he's just sitting there going, what are you talking about? It's like what? And finally he gets exasperated with poor Gomez.
Yes. Yes. Also, I want to say at the confrontation with Debbie in her house, Morticia says this other thing, and it's really fun. She says, "You have gone too far. You have married Fester. You have destroyed his spirit. You have taken him from us. All that I could forgive, but Debbie, pastels?"
I like the fact that Morticia, respects her decision, her Debbie's decisions and choices as a woman. So
Yes.
she's feeling for her. She says, "I get you, sister." But
Yes. You want to be horrible to him? I'm into that.
that's good. Yeah, that's all good. But don't,
Don't put him in these pastels and keep him
yes,
away from us, though.
exactly. So
Let's
yeah.
all be horrible to him together.
Really, if you think about it, if Debbie would have just come out and said, "I just want to marry you for your money," they probably would have accepted her,
They
just like
probably would have just given her money.
right, like cousin It's wife.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, fine, just be his wife, and then you could
Okay.
hang out with us, and you could still have all his money.
They're pretty non-judgmental, the
They
Adamses.
really
They're
are.
very
Yeah.
accepting. They're really nice and enthusiastic,
Hmm.
welcoming.
Yeah.
Oh, here I found the lines.
Gomez.
Some of what Gomez says. He goes, "I demand justice. Someone has married my brother." And Nathan Lane goes, "No." And he goes, "She took him to Hawaii. Get out of here. They have moved into a large, expensive home where they make love constantly. I hate when that happens. Arrest her at once, without delay." Who? Oh my God. Debbie, my brother's wife, the temptress of Waikiki. That part, I always forget that part. The way he says, you have to watch Raul Julia saying, the
Oh,
temptress of Waikiki.
it's full on soliloquy from Hamlet,
Yes.
so yeah.
Nathan Lane's like, who are you? What are you? Who moved the rock? And Gomez goes, Officer, you must issue a subpoena. I believe they own. And Morticia's like, no, Gomez. And he goes, a Buick. And then they're gonna arrest him. He's like, has the planet gone mad? My brother, passion's hostage. I seek justice. Denied. I shall not submit. I shall conquer. I shall rise. My name is Gomez Addams, and I have seen evil. This is where the grandma waves the baby in the air.
Yeah.
I have seen horror. Lurch waves. I have seen the unholy maggots which feast in the dark recesses of the human soul. Morticia says, they're at camp. Then he says, I have seen all of this, officer, but until today, I had never seen you. Then this is when Nathan Lane says, hook him, book him, cook him now. And Gomez is arrested. But
poor Gomez.
the lines are hilarious, but like you have to watch Raul Julia
His
delivering
face.
them. The
Yes,
temptress of Waikiki. They don't really get anywhere. Back at Camp Chippewa, they're going to do a Thanksgiving pageant, even though it appears to be summer. But this is
it's
their
summer.
I guess because it's named Chippewa, they feel presumably they're in the Northeast. Maybe they're near
New
the
England
site of the first
somewhere.
things. Yeah.
Somewhere. Yeah.
So this is Gary's vision, Gary Granger. His vision is this Thanksgiving pageant. Wednesday and Pugsley and Joel are caught trying to call the FBI from a payphone to try to rescue Fester, but they are returned to the Harmony Hut where they are forced to watch Disney movies and musicals. Also, apparently, the Brady Bunch, based on what we hear. Because we hear the sound of music and then we also hear the theme song from the Brady Bunch.
Brady Bunch song, yeah. So
and then they come to the Grangers and the other campers come and they're like, well, and Wednesday's like, I get it now. And she does the most terrifying smile you have ever seen.
it's really good.
It just like, and it's like she has to like work up to it. It's a struggle to get to the smile. Even Amanda's like, make her stop. Ew, it's scary. And
it's a good bit of acting.
It is this slow like unfurling of a terrifying smile on Christina Ricci's face. And as if things couldn't get worse, now baby Pubert is sick. And the way you know that an Addams is sick is that they look normal. Because the room somehow is like a beautiful like light blue baby's room full of like normal baby toys. We now have a nice little baby with rosy cheeks and curly blonde hair that's like smiling and giggling.
No mustache.
No mustache. No mustache anymore. They are very concerned. Then we get to go back to Camp Chippewa and see the Thanksgiving pageant take place. So all the like Amanda is Sarah, whatever, the like pilgrim woman from the first Thanksgiving. And Wednesday and all the little like quote unquote like reject kids are the Native Americans. They're the Chippewa.
I wrote down when he was like talking about that when Gary Granger was talking about the other people that were going to be in the pageant, but as the Native Americans, and it was like this scene in Animal House where they were introducing like the sort of cast offs or the misfits, like
yes.
Oh, and here's Ragoosh and Jutma and so on and so on, and just
yes, because it's like a kid in like a wheelchair, and like
and
a bunch of like nerdy kids that are like injured haired and like nerdy looking and
Well,
like
or foreign,
yes.
different, different nationalities and stuff. But I swear to God, that's what it reminded me of was with the scene in Animal House.
Yes,
So
it's very, it was like that. It's like Revenge of the Nerds, right? It's like the replacement. It's like all these movies. It's like truly just like it's the island of misfit toys over there.
perfect analogy. Yes. So yeah. So
So, I will say the Thanksgiving pageant is well put together, if insensitive and at times inappropriate. Like maybe having all the food singing a song that goes, "Eat me." Even the parents are like, because Pugsley is the turkey and he just keeps going, "Eat me." And they're all like, is
once again, a nod to Animal House. If you remember, that's what they painted on the car. That looked like a big cake. Eat me.
this true? True. Um, and then it cuts back and forth to Debbie, but we'll go through the whole Thanksgiving pageant
It
and then we'll
is.
go
It is
over to
really
Debbie.
quick. Yeah. There's
Yeah. We
quick
cut back and
flicks.
forth a lot, but we'll stay through the whole Thanksgiving pageant before we get back to Debbie and Fester. So Wednesday's going along with it, right? She's saying like, "Wow, Sarah Miller, you're so beautiful. Thank you for inviting us. We have brought you corn." And then she's like, "Oh, great. Come have a seat." And then Wednesday's like, "No," which is not the line. Because Amanda as Sarah Miller is like, "What?" And then Wednesday starts going off. Well, I think I have that too. She
I was gonna say,
says,
do you have her
"Yes.
speech? Yeah.
Yes." Well, first she's like, "We cannot break bread with you." And then Amanda's like, "Becky, what's going on?" Becky's like, "Wednesday." Wednesday says, "You have taken the land which is rightfully ours. Years from now, my people will be forced to live in mobile homes on reservations. Your people will wear cardigans and drink highballs. We will sell our bracelets by the roadsides. You will play golf and enjoy hors d'oeuvres. My people will have pain and degradation. Your people will have stick shifts. The gods of my tribe have spoken. They have said, do not trust the pilgrims, especially Sarah Miller." And Amanda's like, "Gary, she's changing the words." And then Wednesday says, "And for all these reasons, I have decided to scalp you and burn your village to the ground." And then all the Native American actor kids, they start doing their little war cries, which I'm not going to do, and literally start setting fires.
That was the greatest part. Was that they actually have torches and they
People are
set the.
swinging in on like zip lines. There's arrows. There's stuff is happening. All the parents are like flying. Amanda's parents get like pied in the face. Amanda is like tied to like a stake to be burned. Gary and Becky are on a spit being like roasted, turned over a flame. And then I love when it cuts to Wednesday. And again, this is like problematic for like Native American reasons, but she's sitting at the front of a canoe, like sitting up all straight, and she has Joel in the back just
Mm-hmm.
rowing her. It's great.
It is.
Um,
Joel dressed as a brave.
yes, he's in full like war bonnet,
Yeah,
which again, this is like
with the war makeup.
a small white Jewish kid. Um, his mom, again, problematically, but his mom is like, "We paid $30,000 for summer camp, and here he is, Mr. Woo Woo." That was my best her
That was
New
pretty good.
York
So
New York mom. So yeah, anyways, they're gonna escape. Wednesday and Pugsley steals the camp van, and Wednesday is leaving, and her and Joel share a kiss before she runs away. He's like, "No, I have to stay here with the others."
and see it burn to the
See it
ground.
burn to the ground. And to complete the mission. But Wednesday and Pugsley are gonna go home to try to rescue Fester. Speaking of Fester, Debbie continues to try to kill him. They've been married at this point for like 3 weeks. I think they're like, it's
Yeah.
our 3 week anniversary. Fester is cooking. He's still wearing the clothes, but he has taken off the wig,
Yes.
thankfully. And she comes in, she has a big present for him, which is a bomb. And she's like, "Don't touch it yet." And he's like, "Oh, please tell me what it is." He's like shaking it. She's like, "Don't shake it." Um, but he's cooking dinner for their 3 week anniversary. She's like, "I gotta run out, but I'll be back. Don't touch the present until I get back." So she leaves and she goes to a bar full of sailors including Tony Shalhoub.
Foreign sailors. They're not.
Foreign sailors.
Yeah, because
Yes.
they're wearing some sort of weirdo uniform,
Yes.
but
Because
they're not
his
American.
name is like Jorge and he has like an accent.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Tony Shalhoub, yeah, I don't know. I
I,
don't think
I,
Tony Shalhoub is Latino, but in this he is Jorge. They're singing Macho Man. And then she's like, wait, I have to go. I'm about to be a widow or something. And they're like, what? I also love this part. She leaves, and then like the old lady waitress is like walking into them, and they immediately like grab her, and she just turns around like, no, no,
no.
I do not want. Um, so she gets back just in time to see the house explode. She's also like throughout this like pretending she's practicing crying, like, oh no, Fester, my husband was in officer, my husband was in there.
Right.
Oh no. But the house explodes. And then out he comes with like the tray with the food still on it. And she's like, are you kidding me? So she has a gun, a very big gun, a very big like
It's a
handgun.
Desert Eagle. So
Okay.
yeah, for all you gun
Yeah.
aficionados, it's a Desert Eagle 50 caliber. So yeah,
Yes. For all
yes.
you people who listen to Beyonce, that's a song on Cowboy Carter, Desert Eagle.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's referring to, I guess.
There you go. Yeah.
This gun.
Mm-hmm.
This is what she's talking about. Um, so yeah, she's like, I'm gonna kill you. But you know, like with most evil people in movies, she's doing some talking before she pulls the trigger, which gives, thankfully, Thing some
Ta-da.
time to drive their car into Debbie, knock her over. Fester can get in so they can escape. She's shooting at the car, but
Ineffectively.
yes, ineffectively. She's like, and also at this point, she's telling him like, I don't love you. Like, I want your money. She's like, how could I love? She's being very mean.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I could I love you. She says, and I quote, you're just a big, dumb, weird thing. That's when Thing hits her, actually. It was
Mm-hmm.
perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
She said
Because
Thing, and Thing said, you rang. And then, actually, that's Lurch's line, but
it
Thing
is.
hits her with the car when she says Thing. And she drives away. He drives away. And then she says, this will come up again in a few weeks. She says, I'll get you and your little hand too. So, Debbie's driving to catch up with Fester because she's like, I'm killing you for your money. Like, Debbie finishes the job. Debbie does not give up on herself.
You gotta admire
She's
her commitment.
persistent.
Mm-hmm.
She is persistent. She's like, you know what? I set out to do something and I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to accomplish my goals.
Exactly. So regardless of the obstacles in her way, she persists. So
people wanting to live, well, guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I have a job to do and it's kill you.
That's right. Life goals.
She's driving all over the road trying to catch up with them. She's driving very poorly, which should not be surprising given that she's a murderer. And the Addamses are going through it. Morticia's reading Cat in the Hat to little sick Pubert, and she obviously hates it. She flips to the end and she goes, oh no, he lives. Then Grandmama's like, Morticia, come quick, Gomez. Gomez is laying in bed dying, singing like Negro spirituals. This
Swing
man is
low,
singing
Sweet Chariot. It's
he's singing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot.
Coming for to carry me home.
He has a beautiful voice. Again, Raul Julia Broadway star.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
but he's like reaching out into the distance, like he's waiting for like the angel of death to come to him.
Well, and he's got that, you know, that stare that people have, like when it's like they don't see you. They're looking at
beyond.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's singing it like swing low, sweet chariot. Like he's dying. But Fester returns just then, and just as the children get home too. So everybody's there, yay. Oh, but no, here comes Debbie. First of all, her hair looks great because it's like a little more tousled than usual. Lots of volume. I love it. She has a shotgun, and she's like, no. Now you all have to die. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. So
she ties them all up to electric chairs, which of course the Addamses just have.
Who doesn't?
Come
on.
Yeah. And one for everybody.
Including Thing.
Yes, Ping has his own. Not
Yes, he's
Pubert though. The baby is asleep, I guess. She forgets about him. I don't know.
the baby's yeah, baby's Pubert's in his crib.
Yeah. So she's like, whatever, he'll be fine. But the rest of the
I guess she
family,
draws the line at killing, infants.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
Well,
she erred. She made a mistake. But before she kills them, she has to explain what's going on. So she gives us a little slideshow. So we start with her parents. She killed her parents because all she wanted for a present was ballerina Barbie. And what did they get her? And the Joan Cusack's specific reading of this line is one of my favorite things. Malibu Barbie. And what's funny is throughout this, the Adamses are like on her side.
uh, oh, yeah,
They're
they
like, oh my God,
really,
how could they do that to you?
and they're being serious. I mean, they're
Yes,
like, oh my god, that's horrible. That
they're with her. They are
yeah,
Team Debbie in all of this. Then she talks about like her first husband was a surgeon and he spent all his time with his patients. Grandmama's like, what about Debbie? Then a senator, then who all these people that she keeps killing. It's just so funny because they're like very into it. Meanwhile, baby Pubert, as babies do, he gets out of his crib
well,
and he's crawling. And
also,
their
can we
house,
say baby Pubert has sort of come
he's
back?
reverted. He's back. Now
Yeah,
that the family is reunited, his sickness has abated. The black hair's back, his little mustache is back. He's all pale
his
again.
mobile is back.
Yes, the knives, which are good. Um, Also their house is like a Rube Goldberg machine, apparently, because it's like he's crawling and then there's like a bowling ball falls and he's on a roller skate and then like boom, 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 boom.
Hmm.
Um, he ends up being propelled toward where the rest of the family is, uh, sort of accidentally. I also love this line when she goes, "Did any of you really love me?" And Gomez goes, "Hands," and no one puts their hands up.
Well, they're all tied up, so it's like
Yes,
so it's like
hands.
I think they probably all would have done that. So
Probably. But it was just funny him going, hands.
hands.
Um, Debbie's like, okay, well now I'm gonna kill you. And they're all like, good luck.
Bye.
But baby Pubert like flips a switch, reverses the current, basically. So Debbie ends up getting fried. Um,
Oh yeah.
for a long time until she is a pile of ash and high heels and gold credit cards.
Go yeah, yeah. Let's go say
It's like
the.
shoes, heels, and gold American Express.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the family has survived. Then we get a title card that says sometime later.
Oh God. Yeah.
And we're celebrating Pubert's birthday. Uh, the whole family's there. Joel is there with Wednesday. And as I said, he's in his like Gomez
Mm-hmm.
look. And she's kind of in her Morticia look.
Morticia look. Yeah. So.
And they're doing the like cara mia, mon cher thing. And he's like, what do you think of my look? And she says, it's disturbing. So they're into each other. And then the Its come, cousin It and Margaret and
Margaret
their baby, which is a tiny version of cousin It.
with it has a pacifier. Like
Yes, it's like hair but with a pacifier.
oh, and didn't she say the baby's name was what?
Yes, and
Or that
it became a whole like who's on first joke
right?
because people are
Because
like what, and she was like that's the baby's name. It's
yeah, she
what
goes yeah what?
what. And they have a new nanny though, who looks like a female Fester, essentially. She's got the same sort of like cloak on, but hers is sort of like embroidered, it's a little more jazzy. And she's bald, dark circles, kind of crazy teeth. And
And
her name is,
kind of blocky.
yeah, her name is Dementia. She's like, it means madness. And Fester's like, my name's Fester. It means to rot. And they both are just making eyes at each other. They seem to have really hit it off. Yeah, they make a toast. The movie finishes. Joel and Wednesday are outside. He asks her if she like wants to have children and like get married. Be like, your parents are very involved with each other, is how he says it, which I kind of love. Because his parents did seem to like nag each other, but Gomez
Exactly.
and Morticia all love all the time,
Oh yeah. I mean,
100%.
exactly. The passion is still alive. So
Yes. Again, we should all aspire to be like Gomez and Morticia.
we should.
They're
So
just they're just
keep
good vibes, non-judgmental,
keep the
welcoming to
romance alive.
people, keep the romance alive, have some fun, you know, do a
Hmm.
little dancing. Um, Wednesday says they're talking about Debbie,
Mm.
and he calls Debbie crazy, and she's like, "No, she was sloppy." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "She got caught. If I was gonna kill my husband, I would scare him to death." And he's like, "What does that mean?" Well, he goes to put some flowers on Debbie's grave, and out shoots a hand to grab his wrist, and he starts screaming as Wednesday kind of
Smiles.
smiles.
I thought that was. I love the ending of that.
Yes,
So
and that's
yeah,
the end. It's like the end of Carrie
yeah.
with the hand shooting out of the grave. But
Or a lot of the Freddy Krueger nightmare movies. It's like
mm,
the surprise ending. But that was good.
yeah.
Where yeah, I'd scare him to death. No, you
Oh.
wouldn't. I
And
like the
that's
tombstone for Debbie too. It said wife and psycho.
yes. I like that like she tried to kill them and she's buried there. Also the fact that she has a fully intact hand despite having died as a pile of ash.
Well,
But I
see,
guess that's
I
when
thought
you're the
that was
undead.
I thought that was Thing that
Oh,
reached
it
up
could
for
have
the
been Thing.
that
That's true.
she got Thing to do that.
That's
But
true. That's a good point.
I don't
That's a
know.
good point. Well, that is the Addams Family values. As I said, I think it's
It's packed.
hilarious.
It
It is
is. It
yes, it's just like one line after the other. Like it's
the
just consistently.
the movie goes by very quickly. I thought,
Hmm.
uh,
But a lot
and
happens. It's still like
it,
a good full
oh
arc.
well, and you really got two storylines. You got the
Hmm.
camp thing, and then you got Fester.
Hmm.
And in the background, the rest of the family. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but it's tightly done. It's well done.
Hmm. And I
So
think every performance is good, right? Like we said, some of these people are like super famous, right? We get Nathan Lane in the movie for 30 seconds, but he's so funny in those 30 seconds
exactly.
against
Yeah, I mean,
Raul Julia, who is like chewing scenery.
with a spoon.
The
So
temptress of Waikiki.
again,
That's the line I forgot that like made me like he spit it out. Also, when I went to Hawaii, I stayed in Waikiki.
well, you should have come back with a shirt.
The temptress of
It's the
Waikiki.
Waikiki.
I
So yes,
know.
I know. So
If only I had remembered. But yeah, I think that this movie is just so funny. It has so many like legendary people in it. Every performance is good. The script is great.
it
There
really
is
is.
there is like a visual gag or like a funny line truly like at every point.
Every seat and sometimes more than one.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's like one. It's almost like with the burlesque shows and stuff. It's
Hmm.
just like just one gag after another.
Yeah. There is
Um,
always something to laugh at or to look at or to like.
there's no slow time. There's no downtime. There's no lag. To me, there wasn't anyway. So it was
Yeah.
entertaining from beginning to end. So
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
uh,
I think for me, MVPs in this movie are, I'm going to say top three. Joan Cusack, obviously.
agreed,
Raul
agreed.
Julia
Hmm.
and Christina Ricci.
Agreed. Angelica
Those,
Houston is a fourth, but more subdued. But yeah, like
yes.
especially when you consider how young Christina Ricci was,
Hmm.
I think that she really did a great job with this.
Yes.
Because a
Agreed.
lot of her acting is it's acting. It's not
Yeah.
delivering lines. She doesn't have a lot to say. It's
Right.
how she says it and her facial expressions and so on. But God,
Yeah. She
the
was only like
sequence
13
where
when
she
this movie
tries
came
to
out.
smile, That's like an acting class. I mean,
Right.
I
She has
mean,
like such control over her face. Like
hmm
just to say all of these things and like with nothing in the
nothing
face.
like dead eyes. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then to like go from that to do the smile
and
like
yeah,
on
because
in front of it.
even her eyes sort of seem to light up a little bit. And I don't mean the lighting of the camera. It's like, the flat thing. It just,
Hmm.
all of a sudden, she's like
In like a
happy.
terrifying artificial
Oh my
way.
God. Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like a
Yeah.
robot trying to do it.
Right.
It's like
Imagine
a,
being able to do that at 13.
I know. I mean, I was thinking about that when I was watching it. I thought, I can't do that now because I went in the mirror and I tried to do it. But I'm just, so if any of you are watching this movie, oh, that's easy. You go look
I
at
know.
yourself
Now
try to
I
do
want to
it.
try it.
I
I'm just
know,
gonna.
yeah. So I did. I went to go like, yeah. I was like, no, well, you're doing a pretty good job. So I'm just gonna tell you right now.
I'm still not as good. Not as good. I
Well,
have to
no,
practice it a little
well, I'm
bit.
sure she rehearsed, but even still.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Joan Cusack. I said, I don't know what. I know they don't ever hardly do comedies, or they didn't back then, but she should have been nominated for something, a Golden Globe, something. Uh,
Agreed.
that was a standout performance, and yeah, um, and everybody else was just as good. So
Yeah. And it looks like the film was really
it was well received,
well
wasn't it?
received. Yeah. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was number one at the box office when it
Opened.
premiered. It dropped, but behind Mrs. Doubtfire, which like, it I think the budget was pretty small. Budget of 47 million, box office of 111, so more than doubled.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it got like good reviews. I love this quote about the movie because I think this is what I was trying to say earlier. I'm of the firm belief that the Addams family are the most loving, caring, and connected family that has ever graced the silver screen. They are wildly devoted to each other, show an interest in what the others are doing, and spend tons of quality time together. In all honesty, there's quite a bit to be jealous of when watching them. That's from Jonathan Barkan on Bloody Disgusting. They write about like horror movies and stuff.
Oh,
But I'm like
oh.
that I think is so true.
It really is. It sums it up. I think, yeah, really, really well. Because when you think about it, if you their visual appearance and everything is odd, but if you like you listen to them, how they talk to each other and how they excuse me, that they really are devoted to their family. Because
Mm-hmm.
that all comes about when Fester comes home and stuff about that oh the Adam and it's the Addams family. It's the
Mm-hmm.
whole thing to them. That means everything. So, and they are willing to accept outsiders in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, maybe we all should be more like the Addams family. Although I
Yeah.
wish I had some gold bullion or
I
some
mean, maybe
stocks
it's
and
easier
bonds.
to be so nice and devoted when like you're rolling in dough
I don't know, but and or to join the hordes of evil in their crusade against
in their hellish crusade.
hellish crusades. So
But
it,
yeah, I
but
think it's
yeah,
and you can see it like you were saying, I think in the first movie, like they Gomez has been searching for Fester for
hmm
like years and years and years and years. Like he got lost in like the Bermuda Triangle, I think is what the story was.
right,
Um so like they'd been searching, like they felt incomplete without Fester. So in
yeah,
this one they start complete and then, they add the new baby and I think it's funny too because that's also like a normal family problem, but this is sort of like the crazy Addams family version of that.
right. Where instead of just acting out, they're trying to actively kill the child. So
Yes.
but
And
yeah,
because, most families, my
they're
guillotine is in storage. It's not in my basement.
oh well,
So
yeah, or your
it's
electric chair.
yeah, they're not working, strangely
hmm
enough. So like
hmm
it's hard to get things done with them,
I get you.
but they have
So
also the fact I didn't mention this in that scene, but the thing that stops the baby from being killed is that he catches the blade in his tiny little baby fingers
right, without cutting himself.
without cutting himself. He just grabs it, like
And
pinches it.
well, and then Wednesday delivers another great line. Woe to the Republic.
Yes.
It's 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 like oh
Wednesday is Maximilian Robespierre.
the Republic has failed.
Yes.
We can't even execute are traitors, are
Oh my
traitors.
God.
I know. So she is so good. She's worth watching the movie.
She is.
Really, in between her and Joan Cusack, I just think
Hmm.
they're both. One is sort of like a breakout role, maybe for Christina Ricci to me, and then Joan Cusack is like this is it, whenever I look at anything else she's ever done, to me, this will always probably be her top notch performance. So,
Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting because Angelica Houston was nominated for a Golden Globe for this, but not Joan Cusack. That
which
seems crazy to me.
it does to me too. I mean, Angelica Houston is really, really, really good. Don't get me wrong, and I think she did win an Oscar for Prizzi's Honor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, but in this, yeah, she's it's more of a sublime performance where Joan Cusack
Hmm.
is like, I mean, she goes from one extreme to another. You know,
Yeah.
like
And I
the
think it's different from other Joan Cusack roles that we've seen.
exactly. It's nothing like she's ever done before.
Because
She
I think
never
she's
played the
usually
femme
the sort of a
fatale.
more like mousy
Mm-hmm.
or like uptight, like in School of Rock, she's like the uptight school principal. And like
Well,
you see her break out for a minute when she sings Edge of 17, but like, I think that is what I think of her mostly as either like sort of mousy or like neurotic, but
and
never femme fatale.
no, or like in Working Girl, which I think is one of the first things maybe she did, or with Melanie Griffith, where she was like the best friend, and it was
Yeah.
like and it was okay, but it wasn't a breakout performance and stuff. She was
Yeah.
good, but
In this
yeah,
one, she's like the seductress. Like I can't think of any other Joan Cusack thing that I've ever seen that
and
she's
she
like
did it
that.
really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
then
then
she goes to like Unhinged and it's so funny.
which she did really, really, really well. So yeah, she like I said, she went from one extreme to another and sort of and bridged the gap. I thought very effortlessly. So
Hmm. Hmm. Also, this movie was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Art Direction, but it lost to Schindler's List, which we can allow.
okay, I'll grant that one.
We'll
So
we'll we'll give it to Schindler's List,
yeah, okay.
but yeah, it looks like a lot of people think that this is better than the
The
first
first
one
movie,
too. Like Roger Ebert thought that it's on a list of uh sequels that are 15 sequels that are way better than the originals.
I, I,
Um
I could see that. Yeah,
yeah.
I
I think
thought.
this one is just the cast kind of ups it and
Mm-hmm.
there's more humor. But the first one I think is funny too. I think that I would encourage people to watch that
Oh yeah,
also.
yeah. It's not a bad movie. It's
You
just
get
that.
like Dan Hedaya in that one. It's a good one too. It's good in a different way. Um, but I think this one's just like feels like tighter and more funny and like the
Mm-hmm.
pacing is better.
I was gonna say there's no lag,
Hmm.
there's no slow, yeah, everything, and the cuts, it does get a little, I won't say frenetic, the cuts between the camp and the Addams Family, but I think they're done very well.
Yeah, I think you're constantly being propelled forward.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. You don't. It breaks off at a time and then it comes back at a good time. So it
yeah.
doesn't feel like, oh my God, why did they have to make that cut there?
Yeah, and they parallel each other, right? Because like when the family tries to go rescue Fester and they're rebuffed at the
Hmm.
police station is also when the Wednesday and Pugsley and Joel are sent to the Harmony Hut
Harmony
again and
Hut,
sort of
yeah,
like tortured and sort of broken down. So like everybody has their kind of like lowest moment, their like all is lost moment at the same
right.
time.
I
So
even
they keep like they the storylines move together.
yeah, I even wrote that the family was falling apart,
Yeah.
in both locations. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you sort of got that feeling that yeah, that Wednesday and Pugsley were getting having a tough time, and at the same time the rest of the family were feeling the effects of Fester being away and stuff, and then Wednesday and Pugsley were also dealing with Fester in a not in a more immediate way, but
Yeah,
they
they
were
were worried about
concerned.
him.
Yeah, but
They were
they were
trying to
also
break out to go save him and call the FBI from a payphone.
which I thought was kind of odd a little bit. I thought, cause, well, but again, it's more, I guess, showing them that they're showing to people that they are kind of like a normal family. You would call the FBI, but you would think maybe Gomez would call up some mob guy or something, or
Right,
or
right.
some vampire hunter, or something.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I need you to get rid of of Fester's wife. So,
Yeah, you would
but
think.
but no, and he went to the police station. So it's like
Hmm.
they follow all the rules, as
Yes.
far as normal society, it's
Yeah.
so other than the fact that they killed the stripper.
That was an accident. Lurch just
Yes.
doesn't know how to follow directions well. He didn't realize he had to make the cake first.
Yeah, and then put the girl inside.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of
I was like,
off-putting.
oh God, this is a little macabre.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it was going to be that she was frightened or something, she wouldn't come
yeah.
out, but no, she was dead. So
She was baked.
yeah,
She
so
was Hansel and Gretel in that cake. But
exactly.
uh but yeah, I think that kind of covers it. I'm just a Morticia out here looking for my Gomez.
And I'm sure that there's going to be one that you'll find and that you'll tango through life with
Good.
together.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't look at you like Gomez and Morticia look at each other, they're not for you.
Exactly. I was, you know what, that's a very good point. So I always said for years, if I ever found someone who looked at me the way that in Casablanca, that
Ilsa looks at
Elsa
Rick.
looks at then that's how true love should be. It's like, when you
Hmm.
look at someone like that and you just think that they, that I need that, and then hopefully that never fades and that never goes away. So
Yes.
so
So
good luck to all of us. So
yes.
some of us have been
Morticia
lucky.
and Gomez, couple goals, as I
It-
said.
exactly.
They love each other. You can be weird.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being weird.
Yes.
Yes. So,
So
everybody has to fly their freak flag.
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Sorry.
I was gonna say someone who can let your freak flag fly. I'm so
Exactly.
happy you said that. We are on the same page here.
Well,
Um,
that's I think that's why we're good friends. So,
Good. We're
we're
just
simpatico. So,
exactly.
so
Well, friends, that
great,
concludes.
great roundup to the Halloween month, by the way. So
Yes.
terrific
Thank
choice.
you.
Thank you for picking a really fun, entertaining movie for
Yeah.
us to.
I also thought it's a good bridge because we get a little Thanksgiving pageant, so that
Mhm,
that bridges us to November. So in
mhm.
November we'll have a couple of Thanksgiving picks. I know Veterans Day is also in November, and both of us have worked with veterans, so I think we'll have a pick that touches on that. And I know we'll have a pick that relates to another movie that's coming out in theaters in November. So we'll have a little bit of a variety.
Mhm.
Thank you all for joining us on our spooky season journey, and I'm sure there will be more for us to watch next year during spooky season. As always, if you have suggestions, please send them our way. We have long lists of some of our own, but we take it all in. So please share. As I always say, subscribe wherever you're listening to this so you can get all of our episodes when they come out on Mondays. Please leave us a rating, review, especially if it's good. Otherwise, we'll send you to the Harmony Hut to watch The Sound of Music and some Disney movies. Hmm. Follow us on Instagram at Some of Our Parts Pod. You can see all the other movies we've talked about. There are like dozens at this point and quite a variety. You want something from the 90s, you want something from the 70s, we got a little bit of everything. We post little previews of what's coming and other various things that relate to the things we've talked about. So check that out. And until next time, bye bye.
Take care. Da 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 da.